welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my new gardening series, A Year in the Garden, a Week at a Time. We are at 16 weeks before last frost date. It still seems like a really long time away. 16 weeks is a long time. So this happened this week. Yeah, we got a big snowstorm and we're expecting more this weekend. So we're anywhere from 2 to 8 inches. How's that for narrowing it down? Sometimes I think these weathermen throw darts at the dartboard. I understand they don't know if the system's going to go south or north, but 2 to 8 is a pretty big range for the snow. But yeah, so it's been a week of like shoveling snow and then cleaning up and doing all that kind of stuff. And it's reminded me that I have a really long time before I really have to start worrying about starting my seeds. It's also reminded me that I have a really long time before I start to grow anything again. So what I decided to do this week was start a batch of sprouts from sprouting seeds, something like that. And I decided to start a batch of microgreens. So I am going to show you how to do that right here. Here is all the equipment that you need to do seed sprouts. You need a quart jar. It's just a standard quart canning jar, and I've run this through the dishwasher. If you don't have a dishwasher, you can wash it with really hot water, rinse it really well, and then I put a cover on it so no dust gets in there while it's in the cabinet. And then you need a tablespoon and some sprouting seeds. Now I picked these up at a local, it's Stein Garden Center, which is a local garden center. I think it's a Wisconsin thing. And these, I've already tested these. They are from 2016 and they still sprout. So your seeds will last you a really long time, and you usually get quite a few of them. And this is a blend of alfalfa, broccoli, clover, and radish. They're really, really good. And then you need some kind of water here. I have city water, so my water has chlorine in it, so I run it through my Brita pitcher. And you want to make sure that it doesn't have any chlorine in it. If you don't have a Brita pitcher, you can take some water and let it set out for 24 hours and then use that water. So the first thing you want to do, and we'll just cover step 1 in this clip, and then tomorrow we'll do step 2, is you want to take 1.5 tablespoons of seeds. I don't know if I have 1.5 tablespoons left. So I went and got another pack of sprouting seeds. These ones are broccoli. And I had 1 tablespoon there. I'll put a 1/2 tablespoon of the broccoli in there. Now we want to cover these seeds with water. And then let them soak overnight. Now in my jars, I take this part out. Take a paper towel. Put it over the jar. And just go like that. Now we'll leave these in overnight. Here are the seeds after they've been soaking overnight. You can see we have a few floating seeds. we're going to get rid of those. Just going to pour the floaters out. And then I take a fine mesh sieve. And I just rinse them out. And I use my hot water because my hot water is treated in this sink. So okay. Now we want to put the paper towel back on. There we go. Now I take a bowl of some kind. Everybody's got these little bowls in their kitchen. And I turn it upside down. You can see the paper towel lets it drain. And I'm just going to set it like that. So I just set it here. For me, it has to lean up against something, but this little bowl allows it to drain. And they say to keep it out of the light. There isn't much light here in my kitchen when I have the lights off, so this is fine. They come out fine like this. You don't have to put them in a closet or anything like that. And you want to rinse them twice a day. So when I come home from work or before I go to bed, I'll rinse them again. If tomorrow morning, I'll rinse them again. And it'll probably take, 3 to 5 days, depending how cold your house is or how warm your house is, to start sprouting. Once they start sprouting, you're always going to have them falling like this. But once they start sprouting, they kind of stick to the sides of the jar. And it's a little easier to rinse them. So the purpose of the rinsing the seeds is to keep them moist. Depending on the humidity in your house, depending on what time of year you're doing this, humidity conditions are different. Remember, there's air coming. You always want air to be able to circulate because they need oxygen. But you want to keep them moist, not wet. And that's the purpose of rinsing them, is to keep them moist but not wet, to refresh the water. So they'll be doing just fine right there. So that is how you start seed sprouts. And we'll check on these as the weeks go by. Let me show you how I start my microgreens. So I've got a 10 by 20 tray, and this is it's like not even I think it's a 1-inch tray is what they're called, instead of the 2-inch tray. And you can get this at any greenhouse supply store. They will have this. So it's a little lower. And then what I've done is, these are hemp mats, and you can buy them. I bought mine on Amazon, so you can buy it on Amazon. And what you want is a clean medium, because you want your microgreens to be very clean. And they really don't need the soil for anything. They don't need it for the nutrients, because everything they need is in the seed. Because typically you're eating your microgreens after they get their first true leaves. Maybe their second, but for the most part they don't need any nutrition. So you can use these hemp mats. You can use seed starting mix. You can use coco coir and just put that on the bottom. I like to use a soilless medium because it's cleaner. And I'll link the hemp mats that I if they're still on Amazon, I'll link them down below. The seed starting, or these trays, these short trays, I think I got these from greenhousemegastore.com. So you can go there. They have a lot of great seed starting stuff. So what you want to do is moisten this. I basically took some water, drizzled it on here, got it really nice and moist, and then I took this out and I wrung it out. So it's just damp. It's not really like dripping wet. And then I have one of these, and this is called so it's a Winco 10-ounce polycarbonate dredge with 4 snap-on lids, and it's got different sizes. I use the big one. You can see it's got different sizes. It's probably a restaurant thing, but it works great for seeding microgreens. I bought this on Amazon too. If I can still find it, I'll link it down below. And then I keep my microgreens in one of these ice cream containers. I've got a bunch of different kinds here. And the microgreens I'm using today are from Pine Tree. This is their kitchen sink mix. Nope, I did the healthy blend. So it's kale and radishes and broccoli and all that. And I'm just gonna pour this in here. And then just sprinkle it on the mat. And then I'm going to put this back. So you just kind of want a pretty even, I don't know if you can see that or not, it's just a pretty even layer. Now I did some research when I first started doing this as to how much you want to put in there. So here, if you want to screenshot that. So for a mix like this, it's about 11 grams per flat. Herbs, about 6.5 grams per flat. Sorrel, 3.5 grams per flat. Radishes, 22.5 grams per flat. So it all depends on what you're growing as to how dense it's going to be. Some people like it a little more dense. Some people like it less, you know, they want to continually rotate. Like I couldn't, if I planted this really, really dense, I probably couldn't eat them fast enough because it's just me here. So once you've got your seeds in here, then you want to cover them. And I'm going to weight them down. I'm going to put some water jugs on them and weight them down because you want them in complete darkness for until they start sprouting. So on a heat mat, they'll probably start sprouting in 2 to 3 days. And that's all it takes. And then from here on out, all you have to do is keep them, the medium, whatever medium you're growing them in, all you have to do is keep it moist. That's the only thing you have to do. And if they're on a heat mat, just make sure you check them probably twice a day, because you don't want them wet. Like, you don't want them sitting in water, but you do want them moist. And heat mats really tend to dry out whatever you've got sitting on them. So we're gonna put this on a heat mat, and I will show you what that looks like. So there you go. That's how they're gonna sit for the next couple days. I will come in here and check them in the morning and at night, because they are sitting on a heat mat here. So I'll check them and make sure that they're not dried out. But they should be sprouting within 2 or 3 days, maybe 4 days at the most. And that'll be it. So it's pretty simple. All you gotta do is make sure that your sprouting seeds do not dry out, which is why you're supposed to rinse them in the morning and rinse them at night. And that way it keeps those seeds moist. And mine haven't sprouted yet. I think I did that on Tuesday night. Today's Friday. And they haven't sprouted yet. But I just keep rinsing them, and all of a sudden they'll just go poof. And they'll explode. And they'll end up filling the whole jar with sprouts. And that's kind of when I know it's time to harvest them. And I get them out of that jar and get them in the refrigerator once it's all completely full. So next week when I do this video, I will show you what it looks like. Also the microgreens, I should have the cover off of them by then. As soon as they start to sprout, I take the cover out, put them under lights, and then they're ready to go, and they'll just take off. And in a couple weeks, you'll have some really nice microgreens. It tastes so good in your salad. And you have that fresh greenery. It's just so good. Plus the nutrition on there is just so good for you. So that is it for this week. Nice, quick, short one, I hope. And next week we will be at 15 weeks before last frost date. Halfway through the 10s. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting things going here. It's really difficult this time of year because we are heading into like the worst month of winter for us. It's either snowing every other day or it's 20 degrees below zero, and we just gotta like knuckle down and get through this month, and somehow we're gonna get through it. All right, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw here, don't forget to click on that subscribe button so YouTube will show my videos to more people. And until next week, everybody, happy gardening. Bye bye.